I have a few announcements tonight. One is that the town offices are closing tomorrow, Friday, on the 23rd at 12:30 in observance of the Memorial Day weekend, and that it is closed on Monday, also the 26th, for actual Memorial Day. Little Red Schoolhouse annual ice cream social is going to be the 27th of this month at 7 p.m. The topic is on beekeeping. And Christine and Elliot Spiro duo for the evening on the green will be the 28th of this month at 6 p.m. at Drollman Park. Also, the Veterans of Foreign War Auxiliary 9594 will have their annual flag placing for veterans on the 24th, that's Saturday, at 8 a.m. CSEA Region 4 Veterans Committee, along with the members of the Ravena VFW Post 9594, will be placing flags for our deceased veterans for Memorial Day. We'll be at St. Patrick's Cemetery and Grove Cemetery, same as last year. Just a reminder that the cemeteries are located at the end of Blaisdell Avenue in Queens, rain or shine. Also, the Feed Your Neighbor summer program. You are invited to come once a week to pick out free food. The program will occur on Mondays beginning June 30th, ending on August 25th. The only requirement this year is please bring proof of current residence at St. Patrick's Church on 21 Main Street. Use the North Clement entrance and bring your own shopping bags if available. That's from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30. For more contact information, you can call Sue Williams at 518-441-5239. Also, I'm sure everyone got this if you have children. My daughter brought this home for me. I actually talked to Sue because it is sort of confusing. It was for me anyway. On the back is the Brown Baggett program, which is separate, and we'll be discussing that on the website. We have them separated. I talked to Sue yesterday. She sent me some of this information so that we could post it so it's clear. The Brown Baggett program is a children serving children endeavor, and this is pretty long. So they'll be distributing brown bag meals on a first come, first served basis, and for families attending school 5 days on summer vacation. And that is, there is no information when this starts, but we will put it on the website. And if you want to contact Denise Wilsey yourself, it's 518-598-4569 with any questions for her. Also, Youth Summer Application Program. We'll be posting that on the website tomorrow too. We're going to have the applications so that you can fill them out digitally on the website without bringing them in, unless you want to do it the old-fashioned way. We still have the mailing addresses on here and where you can drop them off at the supervisor's office. Look to the website newsletter for more information on that. And that is the last announcement. Also, I'd like to say that, I don't like to say it, but Mike and Linda are both absent today. Steve and Ron, you received the minutes from May 8th. I'd like to make a motion to accept those minutes into the record.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted. Brings us to the supervisor's report. Okay. General fund balance forward was $180,157.50. Receipts of $423,120.24. Disbursements of $225,320.83. Balance of $377,956.91. NICLAS earned interest $13,402.74. Consolidated balance forward $652. Receipts of $546.56. $546,056.90. Disbursements of $546,053.88. balance of $655.02. Part Town, balance forward, $31,527.72. Receipts of $62,900.29. Disbursement of $25,153.76. Balance of $69,274.25. Earned interest this month for $5,581.55. Highway Part Town, balance forward $91,077.79. Receipts of $374,569.62. Disbursements of $308,035.04. Balance of $157,612.37. Earned interest of $713.76. Highway town-wide balance forward $1,951.49. Receipts of $170,616.43. Disbursements of $124,446.08. Balance of $49,121.89. Earned interest of $3.30. Sewer balance forward $180,060.09. Receipts of $52,761.83. Disbursements of $44,060.34. Balance of $188,761.58 with earned interest of $707.07. Trust and agency balance forward $17,761.81. Receipts of $245,332.87. Disbursements of $234,222.47. Balance of $28,872.21. The police forfeitures to record. Capital projects balance forward $4,360.09. Receipts of 4 cents. No disbursements. Balance $4,360.94. Earned interest $108.16. Section 8 HUD balance forward $8,027.69. Receipts of $67,384.28. Disbursements of $68,103.13. Balance of $7,308.84. Total reconciled balance is $883,923.96 with a total earned interest this month for $20,516.98. Grove Cemetery is at $928.63, earned interest of $105.37. Queens Hollow Cemetery, $546.80, earned interest of $10.51. Alcove Cemetery, $320.97, earned interest of $49.15. Total savings on the 3 cemeteries are $1,796.40. Total earned interest $165.03. Bank of Greene County, National Bank of Coxsackie, FDIC coverage of $250,000, collateralized at $1,575,683.88. NICLAS report, withdrawals from A General. $300,000 for bills, and Part B, Town Part B, $60,000 also for monthly bills. Deposits of $250,000 and $120,000. Those were for first quarter sales tax from Albany County. Total of $546,000. Make a motion to accept the supervisor's report for April 2025.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just for discussion, so for bills, like, so you said that we withdrew $300,000 from the A fund and $60,000 from the B fund from NICLAS. Is there a reason why we're not keeping enough money in each month to do that? Like, how much?
We actually did raise it about 1% to keep the balance forwards higher.
Okay.
Because there was a question about it, so we thought we would just increase that. But that's why our earned interest is a little bit shy. Instead of being $21,900, $20,500. So we did pull a little bit of money out of
Okay.
the liquid asset fund in order just to keep everyone happy on that. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Before we move on to department heads, and if I can ask, maybe some leeway from the department heads, we do have, a proclamation to do. And I know that these guys are back there and they could be called out at any given moment or anything like that. So if the other department heads don't mind waiting a couple of minutes, can we do the proclamation? That way, these EMS folks can get out of here. They don't have to sit here and listen to all these numbers. So, I mean, is that okay with the rest of the town board, department heads? All right. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. This, in recognition, if you guys want to come forward, this is in recognition of EMS Week, which is May 18th to the 24th. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service and the members of the emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the members of the Ravena Rescue Squad, along with EMS providers across the village of Ravena, town of Queens, and the town of New Baltimore, dedicate themselves to delivering essential compassionate care in times of crisis. And whereas these EMS providers, both career and volunteer, perform their duties with unwavering commitment, skill, and bravery, often without recognition or fanfare, simply because they care deeply about the people they serve. And whereas for over 60 years, the Ravena Rescue Squad has answered the call of service, growing from a volunteer-led initiative into a highly skilled team of emergency professionals, consistently showing up with their integrity and heart. And whereas EMS Week, celebrated nationally from May 18th through May 24th, offers a meaningful opportunity for the town of Queens to acknowledge and express gratitude for the essential role of EMS providers play in safeguarding the health and well-being of our residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Stephen Donnelly, Supervisor of the Town of Queens, on behalf of the Town of Queens Town Board, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th to the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Service Weeks in the Town of Queens, and encourage all residents to recognize, appreciate, and support the heroic work that our local EMS providers, especially the outstanding members of the Rescue Squad, who continue to serve our community with selflessness and dedication. In witness thereof, I have here to set my hand and cause the seal of the town of Queens affixed on this day. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good. Appreciate it. Thanks. Sure, absolutely. With the town board?
Yes, please.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
The more the merrier.
We need to take the photo so you can all get in?
Please, if you don't mind. We didn't want to ask. But everybody come on.
Get up here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's just squish
Yeah, we'll
right
switch
on
and we'll
in.
get it all nice and close. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It cuts down the picture, Sandy.
Janice, would you like to take us through?
The April 2025 Town Clerk Monthly Report. In the A count, the A fund, we handed over a total of $37,306.45 to the supervisor. In the B fund, we handed over a total of $887.50. For sewer rents, penalties, village payments, and interest was a total of $51,365.72. For a total local shares remitted of $89,559.67. New York State Ag and Markets received $37. New York State Department of Health was $45. And New York State Department of Conservation was $300.86. for a total non-local revenue of $382.86. Your total state, county, and local revenues for April were $89,942.53.
I'll make a motion to accept the April 2025 town clerk's report as submitted.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chief, take us away.
Thank you. For the Town of Cleveland's Police Department for the month of April 2025, we answered 767 calls for service, resulting in 13 criminal arrests. We effected 94 traffic stops and issued 60 traffic tickets. We also effected 2 DWI arrests, investigated a personal injury accident, and a property damage auto accident. I wanted to mention that on the town website under the police department, there's a thumbnail of activity that you can look at if you're so inclined, for the things that we do during the month, the previous month. It's a quick reference. Thought it might be of interest to the town residents. I want to also mention that Officer Dwayne Beechin has started with us. He's replaced Officer Tim Fisher, who has moved on to greener pastures. He's working on his farm. What do I mean by that? We all completed annual firearms training back on April 18th and 19th. I did want to mention also that we have on board a certified car seat technician, Corporal Michael Veeder, successfully completed car seat training, and he's now certified for 2 years. So for proper installation and use of child care seats, any resident may contact the administrative office or the town hall, and we can set up an appointment for him to assist you with that. And I also wanted to mention that there is still a prescription medicine kiosk in the 18 Russell Avenue Police Station. People who have no longer needed prescription medications sitting around in your bathrooms, and in the case of deceased loved ones, a lot of times you have a lot of medication. What do you do with it? You can bring it here, and we safely dispose of it. No questions asked. So keep that in mind if you are cleaning your house up and you have meds that you don't need anymore.
Thank you. Make a motion to accept the police department report for, this is for April, yeah.
Second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Jason, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
April 2025 monthly report for the building department. Permits issued were 10. Certificates of occupancy or compliance were 11. 4 operating permits were issued. 1 stop work order in April. Fire inspections on multi-dwellings were 2. Fire inspections on commercial dwellings were 10. Fire inspection on 2 vacant buildings. We had 6 building complaints, 52 building inspections, 2 permit renewals, and building fees for the month were $887.50.
Nothing else?
No, that was it.
How did you like the your offices? Do you work with Jim Clark over the last couple of days?
Yes, we had a 2-hour meeting and came to a decision and a final plan, and it works very well.
Oh, you ready to sign off on it? Great, that's
Yes.
good. Okay. I make a motion to accept the code enforcement department report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jason.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
We'll do the April 2025 monthly report for the sewer department. We had 20 million gallons. Yeah, 20 million gallons come through the plant. We averaged 686 gallons on the average. We had percent removal was 90-95. We had just a little under 3 inches of rain in the month of April. We spent $22,996.80, and that's about it. I mean, I want to let you know Jeremy went and took the test today. It did not fare very well. I just talked to you today, Steve. Yeah, he did not pass that. He'll be going back again.
More studying and.
Yeah, just gotta study more, he's been out of there and then, he did a bunch of online ones and everything, but they're not easy.
Okay.
But,
Did you get in contact with Nancy Costine?
no, I did not talk to them.
Okay.
No, but I did talk, after we got done talking, I did talk to Will from Seaworth. And, with the chopper, I was talking to, Steve, Schmidt today, and I'm telling you that the chopper cuts them, dices everything up, grinder grinds them, because there's 4 different ways to go, and everything, and they got like non-clog, vortex, and then they have, like a, anything that's anything 3 inches or less will get sucked through the pump. And I guess it's like a state standard, or like a 10-state standard or something like that, but, but that's what we have in it now, is something that'll pass a 3-inch object and everything, so, but when the bids went out, they went out as a chopper, so that changed the little things, there's a lot of questions and stuff like that, so I don't know how it got all fair. We only had 1 bid out of it, but I did talk to the other gentleman today, like I said, he didn't mention anything about sending it in, or maybe he did, he obviously forgot to send it in.
And the deadline was yesterday?
What?
The deadline was yesterday?
Yeah. Well, we only got 1 in on time.
Are we planning to award that?
That's where we're glad. So here's the thing is like, with the money that we were trying to go for, that 500,000, or $500,000, whatever, they, if we put any money out, we can't get reimbursed for it unless there's like a USDA, there's another fund that if they get that in process then maybe we could. But like I said, this money, this 500,000, is possibly could be granted by December of 2020.
Have we provided the USDA rep with the plans, and now it's with them to approve?
We've drawn up things and got everything, and it's the paperwork. There's so many sheets of paperwork that's got to be filed.
Well, where we're at with Nancy is she needs the number, when I talked to her, of the chop. Do you have a number for that?
He just said it's more expensive. That's all he said.
Okay.
There's no
She needs a number so that we can move forward on it. It's
Well,
what I'm pushing.
I mean, that's just asking, like going to a vendor and asking what is the difference between a chopper, what is the price of a chopper?
Right. In order for her to submit that application, my understanding, talking to her, that's what she needs. So we got to get that to her as soon as possible. And how we're looking at with the grants is this. I had a meeting on Friday with Keith and invited the village too, because we have 3 issues. We have the town I&I issue, which we do have data on. We have the wastewater plant, which the engineering report is currently with Steve Adams. And the village I&I, which we thought we didn't have numbers on, but when we had that meeting, we found out through EFC that they did a study, Barton and LaJudas, for the village. So the options that we're looking at right now, talking with OCR, was that we have the $500,000 that we can use for the MJ report that they had for the sewer lines and the 2 lift stations.
That's been approved?
She has to put the application.
Okay.
We were awarded that. That has to
Well,
be
it's been
completely
earmarked, right?
Yeah.
The 500,000 has been earmarked. It hasn't been awarded.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we're gonna get the application in. So that has to be a completely separate project from the wastewater treatment plant. So what that means is the CDBG grants that they were gonna go for the 2.2 million. We can't go for that if we have to do either the lift stations first and get the $500,000 and do that. Otherwise, if we try to reach for the CDBG grant, the 2.2, we can't do the projects at the same time. We can't touch the lift stations, even if we spend our own money, if we're going for the CDBG grant. So the options are to do the lift stations and go for the CDBG grant next year and not this year. So the problem with that is the omnibus bill that's in right now has no community development block grants in it. So it would be purposeless to even spend money for grant writers to even go for it. But what Keith and I landed on is that the most important thing right now, because we have manhole covers blowing off when there's a water event, I think we did 30 million gallons last year. That last rain event, the number 11 was coming up, you said?
Well, yeah, we, at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the 911 called us and told us that they got a report that the manhole was bubbling out in front of the sheriff's department. So we went up to check it, and it was, so we put cones out and stuff like that, and we reported it, and it went through, all that stuff, so, but it didn't last very long. It lasted for about an hour, hour and a half, and then it subsided. So by 3 o'clock, it was done.
So that brings us to option 2, go for the CDBG grant this year, but if we do that, we can't, like I said, do the lift station at all, even with our own money. That's from OCR.
Why can't we do it with our own money?
They said explicitly they have to be 2 separate projects if you're going for a grant, because it'll kill the grant.
Yeah, if you do one phase.
We're just gonna sit on our hands?
No,
Oh.
so those are the 2 options. I feel that a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush, because even if we did apply, we may not get the 2.2 this year. So Keith and I had worked out a plan that if we do the $500,000 and do the lift stations and the sewer lines, that we can work through the plant operations as they need to be repaired. The UV needs to be repaired, that's $15,000, but we can sort of work through that as people been doing for 15 years anyway. So the lift stations are the important thing right now.
So what are we gonna do when it
Well, that's
totally craps the bed?
That's the
No
thing.
pun
is,
intended.
Now we're just, we're waiting on the $500,000, and it's, at the latest, it's December.
Well, that's why she needs the information.
But that's what I'm saying, but that's where we're at.
Okay.
We're just, if we're don't wanna, if we spend our own money, then we don't get reimbursed for that.
But
We
but
wait for-
if I understand correctly what Mr. Donnelly just said, not only will we not get reimbursed for it, but it'll jeopardize the idea of going for the bigger grant.
Right, so that has to, option 1, that has to get pushed to next year, but I mean, the money's not gonna be there federally. That's why we're just going to work through the budget this year for the sewer budget and just put that in, put the money, the funds that they need into whatever Keith sees coming up. I mean, obviously, the UV's gotta be fixed this year, so he has money in the budget for that.
So are we gonna have discussions at a town board level about how we're gonna proceed once he gets the information about
Yeah,
the chopper?
you're right, yep.
Okay.
Absolutely, because
Yeah, I'm not.
we have another meeting planned, and I'll probably, it's for next week. If you and the village wanna come also, again, it's a review and sort of a planning phase too, and then we can, once we get it nailed down, we can bring the board in and let them know. I mean, essentially, those options aren't gonna change, but that's where we're at.
And so will you reach out to the current bidder and let him
Yeah.
know, let them
Just
know?
Reach out and ask them what the price is, of a chopper, I was talking to him today, he just said it was more expensive, that's all, but he didn't say, I said, because he's like, they're all different price ranges.
And this is a chopper versus a grinder?
No, this is a chopper compared to what we had was to move a 3-inch object. A 3-inch solid object should be able to go through the pump. That's what they have in it now. And that's what they did it on before. But when this bid, when I reached out to them to do the project, just when we were paying for it ourselves, this is what they bidded for, was that. And then when this bid package went out, it went out as a chopper. So that changed everybody's thing, because they had to rebid it and everything, which made it higher, but we didn't get any of the bids. So, well, Candace got one. I didn't see it yet. So, I couldn't pull it up on I had lost my computer, so I can't do a few things.
So, Rich, do we have an obligation to repost the bid based upon the new,
If the specs are going to change, we will need to repost the bid. After the dust settles and we sort of confirm how the board wants to proceed, I think we may want to formally reject the current bid that's been received because of change in circumstances, and we can flesh that out in the resolution. But we do want to close the loop on this.
And just as a quick follow-up, this is probably gonna be a website PSA, but when Keith and I were talking, he said that a lot of blue rubber gloves and, hypodermic needles and things like that, they can't be chopped up. So we're gonna have to like reach out to, what's that, that's a.
Well, the industrial park, when I was up
Yeah.
there during the storm, I noticed that there was a lot of blue latex. So I was like, that's not a good thing, because they get tangled up and stuff, it's just a good thing, but even, when I was talking to Will today about it, I was saying stuff about it, he goes, well, even with a chopper, they're gonna get tangled up and stuff, they get wrapped around the impeller, the blade and stuff and that. So I said, I gotta reach out to them to see if whether we gotta I reach out to each individual company and ask them, to ask their employees not to throw them down in the toilets, and start using the trash.
I can't imagine that would be going on, but
Oh, you would. You wouldn't believe what we see come down through, but that's, when you see like wipes, the people that use that stuff is not good for us. The pumps and stuff, they get tangled up, they make plugs, so anything like that, trash is trash, it goes in the garbage, but that's it, people just, when I went there, I was shocked, I was just blown away by how many latex gloves were in there. Other than that, but that was my monthly report. Leach aid is running good. We're doing some testing with all the rain we had lately. The lagoon's filled up, so I'm in the process of testing right now. That went to lab, and there's more testing being done out there with the PFOAs. They want me to do a little more testing out there of what's coming out of the dump, so just so you know that. There might be more in the lab, Bill.
All right, thanks. All right, make a motion to accept the sewer department report.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? All right, favor, aye. There's that. Danny's up.
Good evening, everyone. Highway report for the month of April 2025. As most of you know, this town hall on April 18th, we replaced the heater in the air conditioning unit for the police department. Like I said before, we got 3 bids. C&M Mechanical was a little bidder. Then they did a nice job and running good, so no issues there. Town hall number 2, quiet over there, not much to report. Excuse me, moving on to the garage. We're still working on some of the plow trucks. We replaced the U-joints in C5, the hydraulic pump dry shaft. We took the polycasters off of all the salters and washed them and serviced them, put them away. We replaced the broom disc on our sweeper because we've been sweeping a lot of the roads. We also took the salter out of truck C5, that's the big salter that we use. And C9, we also did the pump dry shaft on that one as well. Moving on to roads, a little out of order. April 12th, we got a 4-inch snow squall, if everybody remembers that. So everybody was called in mainly for the hill areas out in the hollow, and that was plowed. And it's kind of funny because we come in, everybody plows, and then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's all gone. So everybody's like, why can't we wait? Why can't we wait? I'm like, well, people have to get out. People have to travel. So we did install a new cross culvert on Bronx Road Extension. There was some washout areas down there, so we regraded the stone road. We also cleaned out a large culvert on the end of Vandersea Road at the Greene County line. During our slow time, we hauled in 100 tons of crushed run for our stockpiles. We're continuing our driver training. Sunday night on April 27th, around 9:30 at night, a large tree came down on Blossom Hill. Myself and 3 guys went in, and we had to bring the loader in to clear that tree. It was a rather large tree. So they did a good job getting that out of there. And then we had some water main breaks that we work with the Village of Ravena on, so we had to do some patching on Colvin Ave and Church Street. And the brush chipping we did on West Hello, Beck Road, and Blossom Hill. Again, that's been strong. Everybody's doing spring cleaning, so we'll continue to do that. Something to add, our paving for the summer has been awarded to Callahan's. All right, it was sent out to Callahan's, Peckham, and Tarver companies. Callahan Industries was the low bidder. I think a lot of people are gonna be happy because we're gonna pave Buschendorf Road from start to finish, that's gonna tie in that North Jarvis area, and Buschendorf has, got some bad spots on it. We're also gonna move down to Colvin Ave, we're gonna pave that as well, and we're gonna pave Fifth Street, which is right across the street on Westerlo, okay? Again, it's two small areas, we had some leftover money, but they're a pain to plow, and, we took the decision to do that. If it keeps on raining, right now it's scheduled to be June 2nd, June 3rd, and 4th for Buschendorf, and then Colvin and Fifth will come right after. But with the rainy, it seems like getting pushed back by a day or two. I will reach out to all the residents on Buschendorf, because once we start from the North Jarvis side, we're gonna proceed south. The road will be closed. They're gonna do what they call a one-pass pull. So they're gonna pave probably 22 feet, one shot. So you will not be able to travel the other direction, and I'll convey that to all those residents as we get closer. Moving on to parks, a bunch of picnic tables are in place. We went to Zapala Block over Rensselaer. We picked up 3 cubes of brick for the Valley Paper Mill project. If anybody hasn't been by there or talked to the supervisor or myself, there's a really unique project out there, and I really encourage everybody to get out there and see that. And I don't remember exactly when it took place, but a bunch of years ago, they removed the top 8 feet of the chimney top, and they brought it down and they saved it. So the APA and Tom Sweeney and those guys are recreating the top 8 feet, but they're doing it on the ground. So it's really, really cool. Myself and the supervisor were out there. The news did a nice airing on it. And that'll be aired on May 27th, if anybody wants to watch. It's a part of history for the Alcove Queen Tire, so it's super cool. So we also started mowing, as you guys know, all the parks and the cemeteries as well. And thank you, we did pick up a new mower that was greatly needed, so you guys approved that, and I appreciate that. Moved on to the cemeteries. Again, we're continuing our efforts to, regrade all the roads. Because in the wet times, in the winter times, it's hard to maneuver down there when we have to do burials, so we're continuing on that. Also an alcove. And one thing to add, and this is for discussion purposes only, and we'll continue when the other board members are here, and I'm glad Rich is here. Mr. John Blaisdell. Blaisdells are a big family in the town of Queens. Currently, he resides in Connecticut. He's met myself and Candace there a bunch of times. I met with him this week down at Grove. He's taken on a project of redoing a lot of the stones in the older section that needs to be redone. He's asked me to reach out to the board because he would like to see the town start to repair a lot of the stones that are aged and need work. So there's a lot of talk around cemeteries when it comes to maintenance and perpetual care. And there's monies associated with each cemetery for that. Okay, so I'll probably have some more in-depth conversations with Mr. Riley on what we can and can't do. He's reached out to a gentleman who's done, his name is Christopher White, but his health is failing, so he's trying to put us in the direction of another contractor who does that work. He has reached out to Taylor Monuments to see what they say. What I proposed to him was pick 5 or 10 stones, give me the quote, I'll present to the board, and we'll see if it's within some of the monies that I think that we can spend. And we're gonna start this endeavor to redo some of the stones. If you guys get a chance, I encourage you to go down to Grove, drive straight in, drive straight back. You'll come to the Blaisdell section. You'll see the stones because they've been like washed and they're upright and they're white and they're beautiful. And as you guys know, the cemeteries are old. There's a lot of them that need repair. Me and Candy go down there a lot to all the cemeteries. And I don't know what we're gonna do generations to come, but it's a tough thing that to spend money on because it's gonna be an expensive project endeavor, but it's something I think that we have to start slow and, start to try to reduce some of them, so. Yeah, so if you guys get a chance to swing down there, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, so. I'll have more information as we go through the summer, and then with Mrs. Bruno and Mike are here. And then, like I said, Rich will figure out what we can and can't do as a town. Okay?
Is there any way that you can get prices for what you need?
Yeah, so once we find a contractor, like I said, we'll probably pick, let's just say 10 stones, and we'll say, give us a quote to do those. And then I'll bring that back. He emailed me today, he said he thinks between 10 and 15 grand. I said I would rather see between 5 and 10 grand. I'm trying to err on the side of being a little conservative.
Especially the first time that we're gonna put it, spend the
But I
money.
think we need to find out from our attorney, under that maintenance and perpetual care, what we can and can't do, because each cemetery's got some money associated, donated by families and loved ones for that. So he's gotta do a little research and we'll figure out what we can and can't do. But yes, we won't do anything. I'll have more information in the meetings to come. Okay, but he reached out and he wanted me to have this with you guys and I think it's a worthy cause. Okay.
Can you call, I was gonna say, can you call my office tomorrow, but you guys aren't in?
I can call you. I mean, I'll probably, I can call you.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns?
Just to sort of follow up on the Channel 10 interview that we had at Chimney Top. They're coming down, Cassie Hudson does the series. She's done Albany, Hoosick Falls, Niskayuna. They're doing Glens, I think they did it today. Was it Glensport, Lake George? I can't remember. But they're doing Queemans on the 30th. So we're the last in the series of In Your Town is what it's called. So they're doing at Riverfront Park. They set up at 4:30 a.m. and I've been telling local businesses about it. I watched the Niskayuna one when it happened, and it was right before Niska Day, so they were interviewing the people who do that. But they were also interviewing like patisseries and coffee shops and things like that. So I think it would be good and I told the village about it too, so that we could have a unified identity down at the riverfront for, the Hudson Valley region. It seems that that's what they're doing, is the Hudson Valley region. So anybody who wants to go down there, they starts at 4:30 and goes until 10 o'clock.
We did put a picnic table up there at the Chimney Top Valley Mill Paper Park, so I think it's a great place to have lunch or have dinner or hang out with your friends. And when the weather is right, it's a great place to be. So
yeah, we were talking to Tom about having like a community event, an ice cream social or something, just kicking it around. So if you guys could
try to get out there, check it out because it's a great piece of history. And when you see what they're building on the ground, it's pretty amazing. And my guys stepped up. We pressure washed some of the cap blocks. We transported the water. We transported the brick. We transported the blocks. We stored them. And again, we all love doing that work. For the history and for the good of the town. So, all right. Thank you.
make a motion to accept the Highway Department's April report.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Report's accepted.
So liaison reports. I've been having discussions with the chief and he's had a busy month so far, some new computers, antiquated equipment. So I know that we're gonna be getting some costs coming out of there, with the updates with some of the CAD stuff and the computers not being compatible and all that. So I know that's something that, he wants us to know and all that. And then, we had a little bit of discussion on, we're doing a lot of work, preparing for a new town hall, but we don't seem to be doing a lot of work on, concurrently with, what we're doing with the rest of the people, mainly the police department, where they're going to go. We have an engineer that's doing the work for us now, we have those buildings over there, and I know that there was some discussion about using one of those buildings to be retrofitted to, a risk level 4 building. Is this something that we can work on concurrently, getting the rest of the people out of here, or are we just gonna solely work on one project at a time? Cause I don't wanna, you know, the way it takes so long to get things done, I just don't wanna leave more people left over here like they're the bastard stepchildren, you know, left here, you know, the police department or the court or anything like that. But we haven't had any discussion as to what we're doing with the rest of them. We've been focused so much on the other things that I don't wanna see the rest of the people, including our departments that are gonna be left here, when we have the opportunity to be working with this engineer and, you know, can we do this together and make it a collective project somehow to, you know, get this done? So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, and, you know.
And thanks, Ron, I appreciate, you know, your opening the discussion, but so, from our perspective, you know, the problem with the basement in this building, which precluded or, you know, accelerated the discussion about a new town hall, originates in the basement. The basement's where the police department is. And I was happy, you know, I see that we have this new opportunity down at the community care center to house the town all in one footprint, which I think is a great idea. And I'm not saying that the two outbuildings are the solution, but it is an option that we should look at concurrently while we're doing this, in my opinion. Only my opinion. But if we're gonna be doing a movement of the entire town offices to a main new office, we also should do that concurrently with the planning and even the construction under the same umbrella, because we'll get better bang for the buck, in my opinion. Construction takes a long time. If we wait until you're done, or we're done with the administrative offices, we're gonna begin the discussion about the police department in 2026. It's already June. So we're not seeing a new building, we're not gonna see a new police department until 2027, if we're lucky. So with that, I just think that we should consolidate our efforts for the entire town's offices and see if it's workable to have one of those outbuildings constructed into a risk level 4 building, which would satisfy our needs and also the court needs. And I don't even know how much square footage each one has, but if neither will do it, then perhaps we still have the footprint that we could build something there. And so, you know, it would be my suggestion that we look at that.
Jim Clark I talked to him this morning. He was actually mentioning the same exact thing that you guys are talking about, looking at those buildings when it comes to archives, or just to start looking at it. If that necessitates another, Jim's an architect, so if that necessitates another engineer from this firm or another firm, we can absolutely do that.
Yeah, I just don't wanna see us focus on one thing, and like the chief says, you know, they may be stuck in here to 2027, you know. The goal was to get everybody and get all of our, you know, centralized set of offices. Let's try to work on, you know, if we can do, you know, the better bang for your buck when it comes to construction and all that. Let's see if we can get them over there, or at least get the project started, you know, concurrently, you know.
Yeah.
We don't have to always just do one at a time. I think we need to be thinking of everybody, you know, that was the goal.
It's just a question of money. There's 2 acres there, so we could do anything that we wanted to. There's enough space. We would have to bond out and it should be a new building, because even if we got another place, the codes and everything that you have to do with the risk for, you might as well build brand new, so you could have, however that's designed.
I know that other towns have done it. I think we talked earlier, I think I might have mentioned it to you, but Newport did take an old Morton metal shell building and convert it into a risk 4 police department / town hall, or town court. Not cheap. I mean, the number they told me was very high, but I don't know if it's the same size, I don't know if it's apples to oranges, but yeah, it is possible. It is done, and we should probably look at doing that first before we decide that maybe we want to tear and build brand new from ground up.
Right. I mean, those buildings, when you look at them, yes. I mean, if you can renovate those buildings, you're looking at saving a roof. You know, you'll save money on a roof. Everything else will have to be, and right now it's just corrugated, and on the insides they're just open, separated by plywood. I guess the foundation would be the question, and that's a question for an engineer, but we can absolutely start going on it. It is a question of money, and to do it concurrently, we will have to bond out, you know, it'll be a few $1 million, I'm sure, if you're gonna build new buildings for court and police. So, like I said, it's just a question of money.
Well, if you wanted to discuss with the architect, I'd be glad to look at them and the square footage, or at least see what the plan, I don't know if the building department has, building department's going. The actual square footage of each of those buildings to determine if it's even got a big enough footprint. So we can do that and get that information to them and go from there.
That's all I got. The liaisons.
Yeah, and we talked to Keith and, Highway, so we're good with liaisons. That brings us to new business, which we already did. Old business, is there any old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to the resolutions.
Council, move calling off for the following resolution, move its adoption. Be it resolved that the town board has approved the payment of bills as presented in the abstract for May 2025 as follows. Prepaid vouchers 2500498 to 2500534 and 2500536 to 2500551 from the following funds. General, $163,680.14. Parktown, $20,448.77. Highway, Parktown, $47,475.79. Sewer, $25,802.19. Trust and agency, $52,603.90. And voucher numbers 2500552 to 2500585 and 2500856 to 2500917 from the following funds. General, $63,932.71. Parktown, $3,416.85. Highway, DA, $57,831.51. Highway Parktown, DB, $5,147.48. Capital projects, $100. Sewer, $22,110.45. Trust and agency fund, $1,440.50 for a total of all funds payments of $464,090.29.
Second that, any discussion?
Light month.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution carries. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Clements previously applied for a grant from Albany County for the Clements Summer Youth Employment Program, and whereas a new agreement for the period of January 2024 through December 2024 has been provided for the town by the Albany County Office of Children and Family Services, and whereas the amount to be paid to the county but to the town is not to exceed $2,000 as stated in the agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Clements hereby authorizes Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to execute the agreement for services with the Albany County Office of Children and Family Services.
Should that be January 2025 through December 2025?
Amazingly, no.
Okay,
Yeah,
it is.
Year after year, they send them out
Yeah.
the following year.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, but that's just the cycle they're on.
Okay,
It's
I'll have to,
not just the Clemens, it's
I'll remember that.
every municipality. I do.
Okay.
Okay.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Clements wishes to continue to participate in the County of Albany's Emergency Medical Services Program to provide advanced life support services. And whereas a new contract has been provided to the town for advanced life support services with the Albany County Sheriff's Office for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Clements hereby authorizes Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to execute the contract for advanced life support services with the Albany County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
Any discussion?
So just for discussion, I noticed that the agreement came in March and the town board only received it yesterday to review. Is there a reason why the town board didn't see
Yeah.
that before?
If you'll remember, that came in on March 19th, and we had the the resolution, we had that meeting on the 13th. So there was a lot to clean up after that. So there was a few, it sort of got pushed off the priority to deal with the Fast New York.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, like, as far as the town board having the opportunity to review the contract, like, we were only provided it yesterday afternoon. So in the future, I would just like that we, you know, when things like that come in that we have to review and approve, that we get it, you know, in a more timely basis than
Understood. Thank you.
that. Another question I had, that agreement hasn't already been signed and sent back, right?
No, this is just authorization.
Okay. And then did we do any negotiation, or can you do any negotiation with the sheriff's office with regards to the amount that they request?
No, my understanding is that they tell you the amount and we pay it.
Okay. And
I
luckily,
believe it's around 350. Which did we land around there?
I think the agreement says 365.
462.
Yeah. And luckily, that's just under what we budget for. So, and how much of an increase from last year? Do we know?
No, but I could get that for you if you want to send an email. Any further discussion?
Did we have any discussion with the Ravena Rescue Squad about this agreement? And I mean, I know that they're not in a position to offer advanced life support, but
No, and there's a larger discussion from the Association of Towns. There's a lot of attorneys of the last time that I went up to Saratoga for training about the county, about towns actually paying for their services. They're going back and forth on it, but it is definitely something that needs a larger conversation for sure. And they're being had right now that we can get into. Being no further discussion, all in favor?
I
Councilmember Holt, I offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens recognizes the threat that natural hazards pose to people and property within the town of Queens within Albany County. And whereas the Albany County has prepared a multi-hazard mitigation plan, hereby known as the 2025 Albany County Hazardous Mitigation Plan, in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. And whereas the 2025 Albany County Hazardous Mitigation Plan identifies mitigation goals and actions to reduce or eliminate long-term risks to people and property in the town of Queens from the impacts of future hazards and disasters. And whereas adoption by the town board of the town of Queens demonstrates their commitment to hazard mitigation and achieving the goals outlined in the 2025 Albany County Hazardous Mitigation Plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby approves of the adoption of the 2025 Albany County Hazardous Mitigation Plan.
Second that. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I Supervisor Donnelly offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas notice of invitation for sealed bids for the purchase of a 2025 4x4 pickup truck with a Fisher 9-foot 6-inch by V2 plow was previously authorized by a resolution 078-25, and whereas all responses received to said bid were opened and read aloud at the date and time of May 21st, 2025 at 2 p.m. as advertised in the public notice. And whereas the sole bid was submitted to Mangino Chevrolet with a purchase price pursuant to New York State contract of $59,754.43. Now, be it resolved upon recommendation of the Town Highway Superintendent that the bid for a 2025 4x4 pickup truck with a Fisher plow is hereby awarded to the lowest responsible bidder, Mangino Chevrolet, and the town board further authorizes the purchase of payment prior to abstract of said equipment in the amount of $59,754.43.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
How soon before we get it, Dan, once we order it? How soon do we get it once we order it?
I'm sorry.
How soon do we get the truck once we pay for it?
I think 3 months, Jim said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mangino. Yeah.
Okay.
The other, the guy in Rochester, the Ford guy, was about $1,000 higher. So,
And how big is the model?
1 ton.
It's a ton, okay.
Yeah. We're trying to stay with that because if we have to put salters in the back of them.
Yeah.
You really handle it better than the 2500s. And that is state contract pricing, and I sent the contract, and you guys all see it, so it's all state contracts.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Before I proceed with this, Rich, are we just amending this resolution, or are we making an official new
It's, I think, just a new resolution
resolution?
for the additional period of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
And I see in the draft I circulated, there were prior names included, so we'll update that when I send it to Candace.
So I'm sorry, say that again? Prior names?
Well, it says I, council member.
Oh, yeah.
You corrected it, but yeah.
Okay. I'll start again. I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Parks Department is in need of hiring seasonal laborers for spring and summer, and whereas job opportunities were posted and applications were received and reviewed, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby appoint Laszlo Polyak to a seasonal laborer position effective June 7th, 2025 through October 1st, 2025 at the rate of $17.50 per hour.
I'll second.
Discussion?
So just for discussion, so the public is aware, at our last meeting, we passed a resolution to include this employment through June 6th. So we're just extending this on to the end of the season, which is October 1st, 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Upcoming meetings, May 28th, 2025 is a PBZBA meeting at 7 PM, and they have another one on June 9th at 7 PM. June 12th is our next meeting? June 12th? Is our,
We got 5 Thursdays this month, so we get 2 weeks before the next.
still thinking it was the 6th from that last resolution. June 12th is our next town board meeting at 6 PM, and it's public comment time. If anybody would like to make some comments, please step up to the lectern.
I apologize, you've heard this before.
Yes.
Yeah. So, good evening, my name is Simona Fish. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for Capital District Tobacco Free Communities. We work to reduce tobacco use, keep kids from starting, and protect people from exposure to secondhand smoke in Albany, Schenectady, and Rensselaer counties. We do this in part by informing local municipalities about the impact of tobacco and vape use on public grounds, including on the health to residents, pets, and the environment. Understanding this impact, several municipalities in the capital region have adopted comprehensive smoke and vape-free policies that include cannabis and e-cigarettes. At their request, we have provided assistance, including sharing model language and free signage. There have been a couple of significant developments that have motivated a lot of the communities to update or expand their existing policies or adopt a new one. Number one, electronic cigarette use has proliferated, most notably among high school aged youth. Even though youth e-cigarette use has decreased since its peak in 2018, high school students still vape at more than 5 times the rate of adults. And in March of 2021, New York State legalized the recreational use of marijuana. So now, even in outdoor public spaces that have prohibited the smoking of cigarettes, we are seeing too many people vaping or smoking cannabis. For a long time, the only way to limit tobacco use on municipal property was through a local law. Then in 2013, a state law went into effect that prohibited smoking of tobacco on public playgrounds, but only between dawn and dusk and only when children under 12 were present. That was expanded to include vaping in 2017. Then the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act passed in 2021, and the state extended the public health law to prohibit smoking and vaping of cannabis in all places in which smoking and vaping of tobacco was already prohibited. But that still didn't include local municipal property or park areas other than playgrounds. Last fall, a state law took effect that prohibits smoking of tobacco and cannabis, but not the vaping of tobacco and cannabis in all public parks, including local municipal parks and beaches. The end result is this rather confusing patchwork of state laws that local municipalities are required to communicate through the posting of signage and that people are expected to understand and comply with. So local governments have been filling in the gaps and using their local authorities to set up their own policies, which can be comprehensive, consistent, easier for people to understand, easier to enforce, and that provide the best public health benefit. Most communities are aware of the dangers of exposure to secondhand smoke. Most people are aware of the toxic nature of cigarette butt litter. People are less aware of the dangers associated with secondhand cannabis smoke, e-cigarette emissions, and e-cigarette litter. Like tobacco smoke, secondhand marijuana smoke contains hundreds of harmful chemicals, many of which can cause cancer in humans. Cannabis smoke also contains particulate matter that's even smaller than in secondhand tobacco smoke, making it even more likely to lodge in the lungs of those exposed. And e-cigarettes don't produce harmless water vapor. It's not a vapor at all, actually. It's an aerosol, which means it contains particulate matter of hundreds of chemicals, many of which are human carcinogens and absorbed into the lungs of those exposed. And e-cigarettes, whether used for nicotine or cannabis, may pose an even greater danger to the environment than cigarette butts. The devices themselves contain lithium batteries, which are highly flammable and pose a serious fire risk. The most widely used disposable devices and the disposable pods used in reusable devices contain remnants of highly concentrated liquid nicotine, or THC, both of which pose a significant danger to anyone who comes into contact with them, and they become a significant litter problem in public spaces. And I just wanted to add that the electronic cigarette cartridges cannot be recycled. There is no function for them to be recycled, and county health departments have looked into doing recycling programs, and it would cost them $3 per vape to recycle them. So there's no safe way to dispose of e-cigarette disposable cartridges. Almost done, I promise. Smoke and vape-free policies that restrict the use of all products which can be smoked and all products that can be vaped are the most beneficial to public health. They're good for the environment. They make shared public spaces more family-friendly by reducing toxic litter and reducing young people's exposure to adult tobacco use and adult cannabis use. And these policies are popular. Our most recent community survey from 2020 indicates that 3 out of 4 Rensselaer County residents want municipal property to be smoke and vape-free, and 2 out of 3 want parks to be smoke and vape-free. Capital District Tobacco-Free Communities is available to answer any questions that you may have and provide technical assistance and signage, and we are funded by the New York State Department of Health, so all of our services and signage are free. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight, and if you have any questions, you can contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, Simone.
Thanks.
Simona. Any other public comments?
Good evening. George McHugh from Queens. I'm going to talk about truck traffic tonight. Before I do, I want to make sure you're clear what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the trucks that are coming on our town roads, namely Mountain Road Extension, North Jarvis Road, South Jarvis Road, even though they've been posted now, but prior to that. I'm not talking about the trucks on State Route 143, also known as Main Street Ravena. Not talking about the trucks on State Route 144, Main Street Queens. Not talking about the trucks on US Route 9W or even County Route 101, because this board has no jurisdiction over any of those roads, as you know. I'm talking about our town roads where you do have jurisdiction. Mr. Donnelly, in 2023, stated in part, if elected, ending heavy truck traffic on town roads will be one of my highest priorities. However, heavy trucks continue to destroy our town roads nearly 18 months since you took office. And my understanding is that there is going to be a new proposal whereby we're going to take the trucks off of Mountain Road Extension and put them on North Jarvis Road again under some kind of road agreement. That doesn't do anything except move the problem. Let me give you some history, since I know you're not from Queens. For 50 years, from 1961 to 2011, the cement plant in Ravena, known previously as Atlantic Cement, then Blue Circle Cement, Lafarge Wholesome, now currently known as Wholesome, they did not remove stone from its quarry via trucks. The limestone, which is not what's being trucked out, was and continues to be crushed in the quarry, then by way of conveyor belts conveyed from the quarry across County Route 101 and then across US Route 9W to the cement plant where it's used in the cement making process. The overburden rock, which cannot be used in the cement making process, that's the stone that's being crushed and taken out by truck now. It used to be placed back in the quarry for 50 years, 61 to 2011. That rock was not taken out of the quarry. It was put back in the quarry and used for reclamation purposes. It wasn't sold. The designers of the cement plant before 1961 did not consider trucking the overburden stone out of the quarry, even though they could have, because they owned all of the land between the quarry and the cement plant prior to 1961. So if they wanted a truck route, they could have built one. Okay, that they owned all that land in between. They didn't do that. They relied on a conveyor belt to convey from the quarry over to the plant. Never took into account the overburden, because for 50 years they kept it in the quarry and they kept filling the holes with it. In 2011, okay, only 14 years ago, the overburden stone since then has been trucked out of the quarry, crushed, and as a result of heavy trucks carrying this stone out of the quarry along one of 3 town roads over the past 15 years, North Jarvis and South Jarvis roads have been destroyed, and Mountain Road Extension is in the process of being destroyed. Town roads are simply not engineered or built to withstand daily heavy truck traffic of this magnitude. They're not built like state highways. They're not built like federal highways. In 2022, the highway superintendent, Dan Baker, and I inspected North Jarvis and South Jarvis roads, and he and I saw firsthand the destruction that years of heavy truck traffic caused on both roads. Shortly after that inspection, the town board passed a local law placing weight restrictions on both North and South Jarvis roads to end further truck traffic on both roads and further destruction of our infrastructure. Simultaneously with that law and those weight limits, the board temporarily, and Mr. Schmidt, I'm sure you remember this, we temporarily allowed the ability for trucks to travel from the quarry along Mountain Road Extension. That was temporary. And that temporary access was allowed because Wholesome promised to pursue the approval of a permit from New York State DEC to allow for an alternate truck route from the quarry to County Route 101, thereby taking all heavy trucks off of our town roads. Wholesome has since gone back on this promise and has abandoned all plans to provide an alternate truck route in order to avoid further destruction of our town roads. They're no longer seeking that permit. That alternate truck route that we talked about for years, it's not even on the drawing board anymore. The time for road agreements and hoping that Wholesome will do the right thing is come and gone. Allowing Wholesome to continue to truck stone out of their quarry while destroying our town roads is simply negligence on the part of this administration. If Wholesome wants to remove overburdened stone from their quarry so badly, let them use the same conveyor belt system they use today to transport limestone from the quarry to the cement plant. Or Wholesome can place the overburdened stone right back in the same holes that they removed the limestone and use the overburden for reclamation purposes the same way they did for the first 50 years of their operations. This administration should place the same weight restriction on Mountain Road Extension that the prior administration placed on North and South Jarvis roads and end the heavy truck traffic on our town roads once and for all. The residents of Queens deserve it. Taxpayers should not be forced to constantly pay for the repair of town roads and infrastructure just so that Wholesome can profit from the sale of overburdened stone. Prohibiting truck traffic on Mountain Road Extension only to allow it on North Jarvis Road under some road agreement with Heidelberg is a mistake. It doesn't fix any problem. It relocates the problem. And from one area of the town to the other, do you think that the people on North Jarvis and Buschendorf are going to be real thrilled that North Jarvis is now going to be a driveway for Wholesome and Heidelberg? I don't think so. I hope you consider my proposal, take steps to actively fix the problem, just don't relocate it. Thanks.
Any further comment? none, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take care, Chief. I can't believe that.